stream and recording have started now. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Good afternoon, all. Welcome to today's meeting of the Welsh Church Act Estate Committee on the 24th of June 2025. May I remind everyone present that the meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded via the internet, and this recording archived for future viewing. If a participant wishes to speak during the meeting, can they please raise their hand by using the raise hand function, which is next to your activation button and the bottom centre of your screen. When invited to address by the Chair, Councillor Wilson, please could all participants ensure that their microphone and camera is on to ensure they can be seen and heard when actively participating. Please ensure that all debate is raised verbally and not via the chat function for the sake of the recording. Thank you, Chair. That concludes the housekeeping.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy, for doing that. Okay, the first item on the agenda under part one is any apologies for absence. Amy, do we have any apologies?
None received to myself, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of January. Are you happy for me to sign them as a true record?
I'll second those.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam. All right, moving on to number 3. I believe we have one or two members who might declare an interest. Councillor Champion?
Yes, as my email, I'm a member of the Cabbage United Free Church, and I'll probably leave the meeting at that point. If I can then be called.
I think what we might try and do, bearing in mind that we will consider that item, if we are doing it in parts as the last item, that means we'll have to do it in parts anyway because of Charles. But certainly we will, discuss that when we get to that point. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is land at Glebe, Sully. And I believe it's probably James. And will you take it through, James? Oh, yeah.
Hi. Yes, I'll lead through this one.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, members. So this is a matter which some of you will remember. The newer members of the committee may not have been aware of this as yet. The committee owns some land at Glebe Field in Sully. That land was subject to a town and village green application made by the Saving Sully and Lavernock group back in, it was 2019. 2021, sorry. So this report is primarily just an update as to where we have got with the application. So on receiving the application, I was instructed by committee to instruct expert legal counsel to formulate an objection to the application on the grounds that we didn't think the application met the tests required for registration as a town and village green, and furthermore that part of the land was subject to a trigger event being a successful planning application by Sully Centurions Cricket Club, which was commenced in around 2013-14 for the we had a lease with them to turn that piece of land into their new cricket ground, but unfortunately that fell apart and the lease ceased. So as is standard practice where the council has an element of interest in the land subject to a village green, the council also is the regulatory body for town and village greens as what's called the Commons Registration Authority. So following an application and objection, there is then a period in which the Commons Registration Authority will engage with the parties to try and narrow the issues prior to holding a non-statutory public inquiry to hear the evidence and reach a conclusion. This can be done by the Commons Registration Authority themselves, but as I said, where the council has an element of interest in the land, it is usual practice to appoint an independent inspector who will hear the evidence on behalf of the CRA and provide a formal written report which will then go back to the Public Protection Licensing Committee for decision. So following a fairly extended period of time of correspondence, the Commons Registration Authority has now sought permission from the Public Protection Licensing Committee to appoint an inspector and set the wheels in motion for a non-statutory public inquiry. We haven't had any notification as yet of the identity of the inspector or when directions are likely to be forthcoming to guide us as to what the next steps are likely to be. Pardon me. Following the report, we received some correspondence from the Saving Sully group with a complaint about inaccuracies in the report, or they didn't specify exactly what those were. The report doesn't mention specifically, but there was some correspondence with the applicant around this time last year, where they had requested a meeting with the chair and or the committee to discuss the matter. Our view was that wasn't appropriate in the absence of any understanding of exactly what it was they wanted to discuss. They have alluded to potentially amending their application in recent days, but again, we haven't received any details as to what that looks like or on what basis they are seeking to do that. There was a full report taken to the Public Protection Licensing Committee, which included the full application along with all its supporting documents and the Church Act Estates objection letter, and again including the relevant documentation. I didn't republish that on this agenda just due to the size of it, but that is all available on the council's website via the link in the report. So at this stage, we're just awaiting confirmation of the identity of the inspector and any directions that might be forthcoming from him once he's had a chance to review the papers. So I'm hopeful that this will progress over the course of the summer, and I would imagine there may be a further report to follow in the September meeting with a further update. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, James. Charles, do you want to say something?
I was just wondering where any costs are borne. I wasn't around, I think, when this kicked off.
So the costs are so the costs of the Church Act Committee will be out of Church Act funds, because fundamentally what we're doing is protecting our asset. So at the moment, the land is obviously free from encumbrance and has a potential for many uses and would have a significant value to the charity and therefore to the potential good causes that we could support in the future. In terms of the Commons Registration Authority, those costs were borne by the Central Council Fund, and the applicant obviously is their own funds.
Janice, do you want to come in?
Yes, please. Excuse me. I bring this up every time this issue works its way to the surface with us again. And the fact of the matter is that it does say in the paperwork from Welsh Church, if you read it, that if this is required for public use, not house building or anything like that, then the residents of that area should we should look the other way when it comes to monies, because according to the Welsh Church, it's not all about money, it's about helping people in a community. Now, at the moment, Sully is so overpopulated, the doctors is not big enough and the school is not big enough. So I think it's very, very important that we do keep an eye on this and make sure that it goes to the right area.
Okay. Thanks, Janice. James, do you want to respond at all on that? Or?
Yeah, Again, I think, and this is a point that we have, it does come up every time that this sort of comes back for an update, is that we have to be very careful in terms of balancing our role as trustee to the charity and our duties to the charity, and not convoluting that with the wider our wider role as sort of council employees and things like that. Ultimately, what we have to do is justify whatever we do with this land in the best way that we can. I think the view here is that a town, it's not to say, it's not making any statement about what we may or may not do with the land in the future. That's to a degree irrelevant. I think on the basis of this application, it's our view is that a town and village green application has been made, which would fundamentally render the land tied to a single use, which it couldn't be moved from unless there was, I mean, the very rare occasions that town and village greens are unregistered is minimal. We still have all options available to the committee in terms of what we could do with the land beyond this, but on the strict legal interpretation, our view is that the town and village green application is not valid on what it needs to prove, and therefore we should ensure that is refused, and then we can sort of look at what we want to do with the land, if anything, going forward.
Janice, is that a legacy hand or is that a new hand? I take it must be a legacy hand because you're not coming on screen.
No, sorry, I always forget to press that.
That's all right. Don't worry, Janice. It's not a problem. I just think, what we've got to remember, and this is especially for the new members here, is that we are trustees first and foremost. And I do think we've got to think about that. And lots of us will be trustees for a temporary basis whilst we're still on the council and whilst we're still on this committee. So we also got to think about the future as well. And also, we also got to report to the charity commissioners as well. So it is an important role, and it is a very important distinction that you're here as trustees, first and foremost, and not as councillors. We just happen to be councillors. Anyway, I don't think we've got anyone else making any points. So, do you want to come back just quickly again, Janice, by all means?
Yes, that was part of the point I was going to make. We're here representing the Welsh Church people, not the council. And I think we need to bear that in mind every time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Janice, for that comment. Okay, so I'm happy that we note it. Have we got someone that's second to note it? Yeah, Emma seconding that. Brilliant. Thank you. And I got Pam as well online. Thank you very much. We now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is Cadoxton Community Orchard Proposal. Who's going to be taking this? Is it going to be James again? Or Lorna? Lorna's on there now. Okay then, Lorna.
Thank you, Chair. The report before you today is intended to provide a bit of an update to committee in respect of the previously presented community orchard and meadow proposal that's been received and presented to committee. Those of you who have been on committee for a while will be aware of the reports previously presented on this matter of the 31st of January 2022, the 10th of October 2022, and the latest update was on the 19th of June 2023. There is some background to the previous decision of committee contained within this report, so I won't go into the history in any detail, other than to say that obviously the usual due diligence from a legal and other due diligence perspective was undertaken before that the decision of committee was made to pursue this proposal, in terms of seeking qualified surveyors' reports, planning advice and legal advice as well. So the update for this meeting is to advise members that since sending heads of terms for the proposed lease to the applicants in September 2023, Officers have been actively and regularly chasing the applicant to confirm that the heads of terms presented to them were acceptable in order that our legal team could be instructed to start drafting the lease. It's suffice to say that it's been a very slow process, as I've evidenced by the time that's passed between the last report and getting to this stage. As I said, updates were sought over many months, and finally, and rather disappointingly, a response was received on the 28th of January this year to advise that the applicant no longer wished to proceed with the site and the proposal on this particular piece of land. They did say that they would be interested in any other Welsh Church Acts estate land if something were to become available in the future for this proposal. So as set out in the report, the land is challenging in terms of its topography, its access is poor, and there's been historical uses such as agriculture and the like, which sort of limit, from a planning perspective, the opportunities for the land going forward. So as such, the options for committee will be somewhat limited. Given the withdrawal from the negotiations by the applicant, the recommendation in the report that committee notes that the applicant has withdrawn, note the content of the report, and also the committee consider the future use of the land going forward. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, Chair, and happy to take any questions.
Are you open to anyone? Do you want to ask any questions about this piece of land? Yeah, Emma.
Thanks, Chair. I was just wondering, I have walked a piece of land. I have been there and looked at it. And at one end, there's a sheer rock face and a sheer drop. So I think there was concern about safety of the end of the piece of land as it falls straight down. I wondered whether it for safety of the land anyway, in case anyone does get on it, whether it would be worth putting some sort of safety fence or safety area, to stop anyone from falling off there. Not that they should be there, but you never know.
That's a good point. Lorna?
No, that's a very good point, Councillor. Thanks for the comment. I'll ask my team to pop out and have a look. I think we did talk about a site visit anyway, Chair.
We did.
We to see whether members wanted to have a quick look at it before considering any future options. But that was a really good point, and we'll have a look and present any suggestions through you, Chair. A delegated opportunity if there's a cost implication to agree that with the finance officer and yourself, if that's okay.
Yeah, fine. Okay. I mean, obviously, there's been a suggestion that I look into that. Are you happy for me to look into that and then report back at the next meeting?
Yes, I'm more than happy though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's
Thank you. I got that. Okay, good. Okay, so I know Lorna and we've had a little discussion previously to this meeting about a site visit. I think that would be good for everyone so they can see what they can see on the site. I also suggested maybe some reconnaissance or maybe Google Earth as well. So we're looking at a particular date. We got a date in mind, Amy?
Sorry, Chair, are you referring to the site visit?
That's right, I am.
Yes. So at the moment, the suggestion is that we do Monday, the 7th of July at 5 p.m.
I just wondered how that suits members. Is anyone happy with that, or is anyone can't do that? Does anyone say can't do that time and date?
So if members are looking at their diaries at the moment, Chair, just to repeat that we're looking at Monday, the 7th of July at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
I should be able to make it, Chair. I'm travelling back from West Sussex, so
Good.
any major accidents, I should be back in time.
Janice, can you make that?
Yeah, I'm free.
Brilliant. Emma, can you make that?
Hopefully I should. Yeah, I am working away, performing away on the Sunday and over the weekend. But hopefully I should be able to make it back on the Monday.
Thank you. And Charles, can you make that?
Yeah, that looks okay.
Good. I think we go ahead then and do that. And can we note the update as well? Because I don't think we can make anything until we get informed about the site, and then we take a report afterwards.
Chair,
Okay.
I think members really need to see the site. Well, if you can, it's very, very difficult to get to, and until you actually see it, you don't realise how difficult it is.
I think that's why I think it's important that we see as many sites as we can, especially if up to discussion at the time. And I think that will be useful. So, Amy, if we can diarise that and get that in motion now, that would be helpful.
Yes, Chair, yes, I can raise that before the end of this week for all the members.
And Lorna, if you can bring some maps along as well, that would be good as well. I don't know if you're on the call still. That would be helpful as well. Okay then. So I'm happy. Go on.
So, Chair, if I may, sorry, just to confirm. So, in terms of your recommendations, you're obviously going to note the report and the fact that the applicant has confirmed they're no longer wishing to progress the lease of the land.
Yes.
I wasn't certain if the committee were raising a formal recommendation in terms of providing security fencing.
I think I could, under my delegation, I can look into that. I'm not saying we're going to do it. I think under delegated powers, I can look into that. Okay. And I think we've agreed to do that. And we can also consider the future use of the land. I think, to be honest, I think that's the best thing is when we do the site visit, we get a forthcoming report, go into next committee in September, where we consider it in more detail as to what the options are.
Okay, so if I may then, Chair, if the committee are minded, if I can add a second recommendation then that a site visit be arranged on the date we've just discussed. And then following that, a subsequent report is brought to the next committee, which will be to look at the future use of the land. Would that be
appropriate? That's fine. That'd be fine, thank you. Was any member would support that? Yep, I think I got Emma, Janice, everyone okay? Looks like online. That's fine. Thank you. And now moving on now to I think probably the final item on the agenda is application for financial assistance. And I think that's over to Gemma.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair and Committee. So this is our first tranche of applications for financial assistance for
Before you come in, I just realised we're going to take this one by one because of Charles' declaration of interest. Okay.
So really pleased to say that we've had a good spread of applications both across the Vale Glamorgan and Cardiff Council. So thank you to members who've helped encourage some of those applications. So in terms of the report itself, we closed last year with a limited drawdown on reserves. So we had a small drawdown of about just over £1,000 from reserves. So that actually left us with kind of general reserves of 166,000 at year end last year, which, apologies, isn't in the report. What we're proposing is that we set a kind of base budget for grants of 60,000 for the year, but that we also draw down 20,000 from reserves. So taking those general reserves to 146,000 in 25-26, which would give us a budget of around 80,000. We've maintained that kind of trial approach that we started last year, where we've got that maximum grant award of £10,000, and we're still seeking a 25% contribution from applicants towards the cost of the scheme. And this report sets out grants totaling 75,000. And obviously that gives us a relatively small amount to allocate. Now, on the back of some of the potential costs emerging for committee, it might be that committee is minded to delay any further applications until some of those legal costs and potential fencing costs are confirmed at the next committee. So in terms of the applications that are set out in Appendix A of the report, if I start from the top, so Dinas Powys Library and Activity Centre, there's an application for £5,197.50 towards the cost of some new low-level book shelving. The total project cost is £6,930, and there is a contribution from the Dinas Powys Library Reserves Fund, which has been approved by trustees. There is only one quote that's been submitted due to the bespoke nature of the project. So are members happy to approve that request?
Yeah. Anyone got any questions? Charles, you're happy to support it?
Yeah, I was just trying to put a hand up to support it.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to
Thank
second that. Okay, we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Makers Guild in Wales, so this is one that's been recommended by Cardiff Council, quite a large scheme, so total project cost of around 48,000, and there's a significant grant contribution by the Arts Council of Wales, which has been approved, and some reserves from the Guild as well. And this is to upgrade community facilities, and the current kind of workshop spaces, which are quite dated. And the application there is for £10,000 towards the cost of the scheme.
Okay, are we happy to support that? Anyone will second that? Pam, you happy to support that? I take it you are. Yeah.
I'm happy to support that.
Thank you very much, Pam. Moving to No Pit State Circus now.
Yep, again recommended by Cardiff Council. There's quite a lot of narrative in the report here about the project. So it's a total project cost, again, of £55,000 with a significant contribution by the Arts Council of Wales, and they're looking for the balance to be funded by Welsh Church Acts. There are some kind of staffing costs that are included here, I think, in terms of the events manager, but it sounds like quite an exciting event potentially that's being put forward. I don't know whether members have got any questions or clarifications on that application.
I mean, I have seen them in action on that festival, years ago, and it was really, really good. They're really amazing people. I'm happy to support it. Anyone else would like to second my support for that? Emma? It looks like a yes. Okay.
Yeah, happy to support.
Great. And now next one is St. Bride's Major Church Hall.
Yep, total project cost of £5,865.60, recommending an award of £4,399.20, and the balance would be financed by the funds of the church hall. There are some quotes that have been, two quotes that have been provided, and some financial statements to support the application, and a kind of commonly seen kind of leaking on a flat roof of quite a 25-year-old building roof even. Any questions from members?
Not as far as I know. I'm happy to support that. Anyone would like to second that? Yeah, Emma and Pam. Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. St Edward's Church, church organ. Total project cost of £99,600, which includes stage 1 of the repairs. Application for £10,000. So this is stage 2 that they're looking for funding towards. And they've got a number of grants that they've received towards the scheme. And financial statements have been provided to support that, as well as evidence of grant letters as well.
Okay, I'm happy to support that. Anyone second that?
Yeah.
Charles and Pam, brilliant. Okay, number 6, Tabernacle Church Penarth.
Okay, total project cost £3,580. Some match funding from Designated Building Fund. Looking for a contribution of £2,480 for electrics refurbishment.
I'm happy to support that. Anyone to second that? Yeah, Emma, brilliant. Turn over.
Okay.
Next one.
Community Impact Initiative and Women Construct Wales. Total project cost of 34,200. There is some match funding from the Community Impact Initiative and a grant from the National Lottery Community Fund, People and Places, that's been approved, requesting a Welsh Church Act application of £10,000, helping to kind of find improved wellbeing qualifications and provide people with new paths to employment as part of this scheme.
I'm happy to support that. Anyone like to second? Charles?
Yeah, I'm happy to support that because I've been involved in this because it's in my ward and I will be paying a visit to it when it's finished.
Wonderful. Okay. Now the fortified City of God. Next one.
Yep. So this is Community Food Bank expansion, total project cost of £10,000, looking for a contribution of 7,500 with a lottery community grant of £2,000 towards the scheme and some donations of £500.
I'm happy to support that. Janice? I think so. That's fine. Okay.
Shall I take 10 and 11 now and then come back to 9?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We do number 9 at the end. Number 10 now. Princes Street.
Sorry, Mark, I was trying to come in on the previous one. Can you tell me where the extension is going to be built?
So it's within Cardiff.
All right. Okay.
So it's one that's been recommended by Cardiff Council to be in the Cardiff area, but I can confirm the location. Councillor Charles. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you happy if I look at the application once we've finished going through the other ones? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
We go back to it and get more information. That's fine. Because a little bit is cut out as well when we had the
apologies. The wrapping. Yeah,
it's just wrapping. No worries. We'll look at that right at the end. Well, before we look at Cowbridge one.
Okay.
The next one is Princes Street, Evangelical Baptist Church.
So this is fire safety upgrades, and they're also looking to purchase a data projector. Total project cost of £12,666. Some contribution from the church. There are 2 quotes for both the fire safety upgrades and the projector. They don't have a written equal opportunities policy, but they don't have any employees, and contribution of £9,500 is being proposed.
Okay, anyone happy to support that? Because I know, Janice, you got a legacy hand there. Anyone happy to support that?
I'll support that.
Thank you very much. If we now go to the Nelson Trust Registered Charity.
Yep, so this is again recommended by Cardiff Council, and they're looking for resources for a lunch club. So arguably there is a kind of sustainability issue here. Lunch club invites women facing multiple complex disadvantages to come into our warm and welcoming centre to have their needs met and enjoy food together. Total project cost is £1,500, and projected contribution is £1,125.
Okay, happy to support that. Would anyone like to second that? Yeah, Emma, good, excellent. Now, have you found some information about the Community Impact Initiative? Gemma,
I will find it very quickly. Apologies, I will. I'll just open it up now. Right, okay, I'm just opening up the application form.
That's right.
Are we talking about item number 7?
Yes, we are.
It's in Friar Street in Barry.
Yeah, it says this, purchased empty house.
Cardiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this appears to be in a Shakespeare Street, Cardiff.
Oh, that's the wrong one then.
It doesn't say that here. It says has purchased. Perhaps we would defer this if we can't get the right information on here, or do we delegate it to my authority? If you give me What do you think?
Sorry, Chair, can I just clarify which item we're referring to?
Number 8, fortified cities.
No, not the fortified city god. Number 7, I believe.
No, it's number 8.
Is it
Yes,
number
I
8?
believe
Is it?
Yes, it's number 8 that you had the query on, Chair.
Yeah.
And that concerning the food bank and where it is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Number 8 then. Okay, apologies.
So apologies, this is 3 North Church Street, Butetown, is the address that's been provided on the application form.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, at least we got clarification. Are we happy to support that now?
Yes, I'm happy to support that.
Fine. Okay then. Now we can go to, so the item, Charles, has he left? I think he has. No, he's going to, before we consider Calvary's United Free Church.
Yeah, Councillor Champion has withdrawn, Chair.
Thank you very much. We now consider that application now.
Yeah, so this is window replacement in chapel on the east side of the church that are in poor condition. The total project cost is 19,000. There's match funding from church funds of 9,000, and the grant recommended of 10,000 will make up the balance of the funding. And there's financial statements to support the application.
Very much. Anyone like to? I'm happy to support that. Anyone like to second that?
I presume it's just an ordinary window, is it? It's not got stained glass or anything like that.
It's a very reasonably priced stained glass, I would have thought.
Glass of that price, would it?
I'm assuming, but I can just double check in the application form because I've got them open here. Sorry.
Okay, John, quickly just check.
Sorry, apologies, it's here. Two large east-facing wooden sash windows. So not stained glass, but they are sash windows in the building.
Okay, does that answer your query, Pam?
I got no problems with that.
Okay, thank you. So you're happy to second that. That's great. Okay, I think that's it then, isn't it? I think you did make a point though, didn't you, Gemma, about bearing in mind we obviously going to finance all that, hopefully, and that's £75,000. That leaves us with about £5,000, less than £5,000. And you're saying we might have some additional costs in terms of legal, as well as obviously if we do any fencing from that previous agenda item. So perhaps maybe if we do not consider any applications until maybe next year, possibly, or we see what the picture looks like, because obviously we haven't got a great deal of money to play with now. All right.
Well, I'll be bringing your accounts in to the next meeting of committee, and we should know more about the orchard site certainly by then. So it might be that we're in a position to confirm a way forward at that point.
That'd be fine. I think that's a good suggestion. We wait until then. All right. Thank you. Are we happy for that to defer that until we get the financial accounts? Pam, yes, second that.
Yeah.
And have you noted that, Amy, as well?
I have indeed, Chair, yes.
Thank you very much. Now, I haven't got anything under item 7, and nor have I got any part 2. So can I thank you all for your attendance today, and hope you all had a good evening. Take care. Bye-bye all.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Chair.